Hey friends, Jill here. Welcome back to a Spring Willow farm. Hope you guys are having a great day. Peyton, our people don't get to see you all the time, so tell the people hi.
Hi.
What have you been up to?
I'm just looking at our yearbook.
So Peyton is on the yearbook club. She is on the softball team. She just tried out for the volleyball team and made it. High five. So she is our little sports and academic girl over here. So what do you do for the volleyball team or for the yearbook club?
Oh, I was a designer and a photographer, but now we do BMS TV, and I'm one of the main.
She's on TV.
I'm one of the main anchors, and so I sit at the desk and talk about boring stuff.
Nice. Well, everybody, here's your little daily dose of Peyton. Anything else you want to say?
Not really.
Not really. All right.
Sunday.
Happy Sunday. That's right. We just got home from church. Peyton actually has softball practice tonight. So Nathan and I decided to shoot a vlog real quick before he has to go and do that. We have got the photographer coming over this afternoon to take photos for the book out in the greenhouse. So that's gonna kind of have me occupied this afternoon. So even though we like to keep Sundays just as like a day of rest where we just like go to church and hang out, sometimes things happen where we do have to get a little bit of work done, but it's work that we enjoy doing, so it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Charlie, are you gonna take photos with Mom today for the book? Are you excited?
Yes.
Okay, so Charlie and I have been talking about some creative ways for her to kind of, oh, you want to say hi too? So Charlie and I have been thinking of some creative ways that she can make some money and be involved with Mom this summer. And what have we come up with?
I'm going to make my own plant stand.
So Charlie's going to have a flower stand. We are going to hopefully be making some bouquets for sale. And we're going to see how she does. Are you excited about it?
Yes.
So have you checked on your zinnias in the greenhouse lately?
Uh-huh.
How are they doing?
Good.
Good. So what all bouquets are you going to have?
I don't know.
You don't know? That is quite all right. I have actually, oh, you went up here too? Come here. So I went out in the greenhouse the other day and then decided.
I don't know.
I don't know what?
No, the greenhouse.
They know about Mommy's greenhouse. They go in my greenhouse all the time with me. So I went out in the greenhouse, realized that I wanted to start more sunflowers and kind of create another sunflower patch. Are you mocking me? So that's what Nathan and I are going to do today. We're going to try to walk around the farm. June Reagan. You are grounded. Go to your room. Hopefully this is not what you guys think when you listen to my vlogs. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Okay, Pepe's gonna hold you for a second.
You got it.
So that is what Nathan and I are gonna do today. We are going to walk around the farm and figure out where else we can put sunflower patches. Now, we have the huge patch behind the backyard that we do sunflower production in, but we're looking for another spot. I'm pretty sure we found it, so we're just gonna like walk through that and talk through that this afternoon. So we are under a wind advisory today, and Nathan and I were in our bedroom and we could hear the wind ripping. Kind of intense. One thing here when we have bad storms, one thing we just have to worry about is making sure, especially like it's kind of tornado season for us here, is that like the sides are down for the tunnel, because otherwise it kind of acts like a parachute. And even though it's anchored in the ground, we're on a ridge, we get a lot of like straight line winds. It can just kind of like take all that stuff up. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on that today. I was telling them though that we're going to walk around because I'm looking for more places to put sunflowers. I wanted to talk to them about the place that we've kind of picked out now. It would be a dual purpose. We'd do sunflowers, and then this man wants some okra for the freeze dryer. So you want to grab my drink? We'll go check it out. These wasps are insane.
Yeah, it's that time of year.
We got wasps everywhere. It is 81 degrees here. That good old springtime we're used to here in Arkansas just jumped straight to summer, but it feels amazing.
Yeah, it does. 81, but the wind's blowing, so it feels good.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was yesterday. We replaced irrigations in the beds. We put more phosphorus hydrants in the raised beds. We moved the phosphorus hydrant in the high tunnel. Got everything set up on timers now in the high tunnel. Again, that all busted throughout this winter, so we spent all day outside doing that, and it was kind of much like today. The wind was kind of blowing, so you didn't realize it was as hot as it actually was. All right, I mean, this wind is intense,
Kicking,
Dave.
isn't it?
It is kicking. All right, so behind us we've got, so we're down by the high tunnel, and kind of back by where the pigs are, and you guys can see here it's
a hot mess right now.
It is a hot mess. It's just kind of overgrown at the moment, and this is really kind of good space to do something with, and it's a pain in the butt if we wanted to like keep it mowed and weed eated, because there's a road kind of down here to this pen with gravel. So if Nathan were to mow it, there's kind of like some gravel in here too.
Slings rocks everywhere.
Yeah, slings rocks everywhere. So we put our heads together and thought, why don't we weed eat what we can. We do have our friend Doug who lets us borrow his tractor. We could come and just like level this out. And actually, I think what we had talked about doing instead of weed eating it was I bought a silage tarp, which is what I have down on the current sunflower field. So that should come in, I think, this week sometime.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hit it with a weed eater and just scalp it the best I can, and then we'll bring that tarp in, let that tarp sit for a couple weeks, and just really bake all of that. And then I would like to pull back, just see what the dirt looks like, just drag it a little bit. And then ultimately, I'd love to bring in a bunch of wood chips and build it up, but we can't get our hands on wood chips. So
what size silage tarp did we buy?
We bought a 26 by 50 something.
I think it was 50 because we did it the length of the greenhouse.
Okay.
So you guys can see in between Nathan, this is a good area. It does get pretty decent sun, and the really cool thing about sunflowers is, gosh, you can have some varieties like the, Pro Cut Excel sunflowers. You can have some of those in like 35 days. That's like seed to harvest. Now these are, one time they are cutting sunflower. They're not the branching, so they're the single stem. But those happen to be like pretty profitable for us. So if we can have these different kind of plots throughout the farm that are serving multiple purposes, right? Like it is eliminating Nathan from having to mow and weed eat it and weeds growing.
Yep.
We can use it as a production space and grow out of it. For us, that kind of makes a lot of sense, and I think that that's really what we're trying to look at on the farm is like, hey, when we add this in, is it serving more than one purpose? So like the outdoor kitchen, we're really wanting to create that space to, one, it's aesthetic for us, it's a place that we can hang out, but then we can also use that for our farm in a profitable way, as far as like holding farm to table dinners, doing workshops and things like that. And so that's really something that we have been just emphasizing on and focusing on. I think something that you have planned is maybe having the first 2 rows over here of just okra production.
Yeah.
And then we'd have this back half, and we would continuously be doing sunflowers. We'd start our first round on the plot that's behind the backyard while we got this ready, and then we could be doing this round, and we can continue to do that until the end of summer and really like into fall. And so
yeah, and just succession sowing. So
succession sowing, yeah.
Plant 100. Next week, plant another 100.
Yep.
Next week, plant another 100.
So the system we have with sunflowers is every single week throughout the summer, we are either starting, transplanting, or harvesting sunny. So like right now, we've already started our first round of sunflowers, and we're just continuing to do this for the duration of the summertime, and it works out really well. There's a lot of crops you can do that with. We'll do this with our spinach and our lettuce and other things like that. And if you can kind of succession sow, even if you are working in a smaller area, you can really kind of max out that small area, which is something I just really encourage you guys to do that. Figure out those things that you can constantly be doing that on the food vegetable side of things. I definitely think it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're trying to put up as much groceries as you possibly can in your growing zone or in your limited you know, time of growing. So
yeah, that was something Nathan and I talked about. We go through so much spinach, and he was like, hey, we really got to up our spinach production because this is something that we could be growing and we're not growing enough of it to where we're still having to source it out, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. And so
yeah, like right now we're buying these big tubs of spinach
Yeah.
every week. Like I don't know how much is in there, but it's a bunch. We eat a bunch of spinach.
we do. I mean, we eat it, like I eat spinach with breakfast and lunch every day. Then we've got our smoothies and juicing. And so that's something that we're trying to get on an efficient schedule with. Again, that'll be one of those starting it every single week. And for us, we can be growing lettuce 52 weeks out of the year.
That's right.
And spinach. And so we would be silly not to just put a bit more emphasis on those areas.
Agreed.
That was kind
It was
of bad. So another thing I really wanted to talk to you guys about, I just told you earlier, we've been putting phos-free hydrants everywhere. We're on a well, and what is it, like iron that's in the well?
I think it's just an older well, and I don't know if they use PVC or if it's old like cast iron pipe, but we've got a lot of rust that comes
Yeah.
through our pipes.
I don't know
So,
if you've ever noticed in my videos too, like the backside of the tunnels, like this brown, that's what that's from. That's from the water. And so when you turn on the water, that gets in all the beds. I don't know what's in that.
I think it's just heavy metal and rust. And
Yeah, and so that makes me really uncomfortable. I don't love that. So I want to show you guys, because I don't know, maybe some of you guys are dealing with the same thing or have dealt with that. I really want to show you guys our system that we have set up and what we're going to do too, that we've really just been working a lot on this
yeah,
weekend.
and hopefully it's gonna combat all of that. So
Yeah, for sure.
after you, my dear.
Chug it. What you chugging? Water?
Water.
Water?
Dehydrated yesterday.
Yeah. Look at all this chard. I still cannot believe that this chard's still going strong. Nathan was just talking about the eucalyptus too. I mean, this stuff, we're gonna have to pot it up again, but it is just going crazy.
Yeah, the roots are almost grown to the water.
Yeah. So we did get most of the beds. We have some anemones right here that we've just been like harvesting for the table. And then I have some spinach that I sowed a while ago. Like I sowed right before our irrigation busted. And so it didn't get consistent watering, and I didn't want to have to come down here and water just for one thing. But what did survive is pretty good. All right.
Russell.
That's a Brussels already harvested. All right, so frost-free situation. We had the phos-free hydrant. Where was it? Right out there on the outside?
We didn't have a frost free.
Oh, so we had two. That's right.
It was just PVC coming in.
Yeah.
And then a brass fitting. And anyways, there was no way to drain that, and so it busted. And so
And we'd have to reach over the bed to turn everything on. So the timer and everything was set up over there, which was really just inconvenient and a pain in the butt. So
showing the rust.
oh yeah, so you guys can see the discoloration of all of this. That's just the rust from the water from the well.
Even the metal is turned color.
Yeah, so we put a phos-free right here, which is super convenient. And then this right here is actually a filter. So this will, you know, the goal is that it will filter out all of the rust, which we did try it yesterday and the water looked clean.
Did it?
Yeah, so.
Well, let's pop it open.
And then this right here is a timer that we have set up for all the irrigation. Now we will have to probably replace this every now and then. Yeah, it's just filtering it out.
Yeah, look, can you see all the floating particles in there?
I don't know that I can get that really well on camera, but.
Yeah, it's just got all these little floating particles.
So if I were to give advice to anyone, it would be to really like prioritize the things on your farm that, this is the thing. This isn't aesthetic. This doesn't make me feel like, give me all the warm and fuzzies. It's not like plants that I'm planting. It's not like planting out the cottage garden, right? Like the frost-free hydrants, they don't like excite me and like get me excited. But they are crucial to the success of our farm. And I think that we spent a lot of years learning the hard way and not prioritizing these things to where it just made no sense. Like our efficiency was horrible, and that was one thing that Nathan and I agreed when we bought this farm, we would turn it into a efficiently ran farm. And we have worked our butts off, in all honesty, to put these systems in place. We are still very much so putting these systems in place. And one of those things was fixing all the irrigation, making my life as easy as possible, giving me freedom to go and do something and still have greenhouses and raised beds and high tunnels on timers. And so this is one of those things that, yeah, it costs money. It was a full day worth of labor. Sean came over and did it. It was me and Nathan. We were digging holes, digging trenches. Like, it was not a fun job. But I can tell you right now, my plants are gonna thrive. It's gonna save me time and money in the long run. And so I just kind of encourage you guys, I don't think enough people maybe put emphasis on the stuff that's like not as pretty on a farm, but it's like so, like fences, right? No one wants to drop a couple grand on fences and gates, but it's so essential to like the success of your farm.
For efficiency, I mean, it's all about,
yeah.
It just depends on what your goals are, but ours is to be as efficient as possible.
I will tell you too though, even if you're in like a small raised bed area, setting like drip irrigation is so affordable. You can even buy it from like a Lowe's if you need to. Say you don't want to order it, you don't want to wait for it to get shipped in, you can buy it pretty cheap online. You can even install it yourself. I think that that is one of those things you can do. That bee is like really wanting to hang out. It's like one of those things, they already know. It's just one of those things that could really free up so much time. And you like ask yourself, how much time are you spending watering now? If you spend however much money on some drip and to get that done, how much time are you saving yourself that you could be using that time and resource on something else and being more productive? Another thing that we're doing to kind of keep adding to the efficiency is we had mentioned to you guys that we're working with a company to restore our soil and put prebiotics back into our soil. And so instead of every month me coming out here and treating all of our beds, we have a 10,000 square foot raised bed, or raised bed garden area. This is a how long is this? A 50 by.
This is 1,000 square feet.
Right. We've got all these different areas. Do you know how much time that would take me just hand spraying prebiotics on our plants and on our soil? And so this is something that you came up with that I thought was a genius idea. And what is it that we're doing?
We're gonna put a fertilizer injector. Haas makes a little fertilizer injector, essentially, that you would just add, add before your timer or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so we'll be able to inject that. It has a way to kind of dial in or measure the amount of fertilizer. But because this is going to be, a prebiotic, which if you guys don't know what the prebiotic is, it essentially awakens all the micronutrients and all the good bacteria that's in your soil that just may be dormant. And so this is just gonna allow us to feed our soil until we get it to the way we want it. And then also we can add fish emulsion, we can add whatever fertilizer we want to fertilize our crops. So.
Which I will find the link to the Haas injector and leave it down in the description. But I do think that's another thing that is just going to save me time, and kind of all these systems that we can kind of put on like automation is going to be, I think, key for us. And so when Nathan had come to me with that idea, I thought, oh yeah, that's great. And another thing too we've been talking about is just like weed management. I spent hours yesterday. We had a bed, literally an hour. We had a bed in the raised bed that we mulched with leaves. And then we had a bed that we did not mulch, and we did not stay up on weed management. And it was crazy just how different the two were. And so it's like, how do I make this efficient? What is the best way to do this? And for us, that's a flame weeder. Now, I'm not going out and buying an actual flame weeder because those are pretty expensive, but we do have a torch on a propane burner that I can walk around. That's gonna be a really easy way for me to keep just the beds in the cottage garden kind of manicured easily. I can go through and kind of spot treat the beds, and then I'm not having to worry about like hand weeding for hours. And if I can kind of stay on top of it, I've deemed Wednesdays as weeding Wednesdays, and I'm just going to go through and do a run through all the beds and just hit them when I can.
I'm going to work late on Wednesdays. Hey, but something I don't think you hit on, which I felt was pretty key. The beds that we did put the leaves in for mulch, like it kept the weeds down 10 times better than. So
Yeah.
there was hardly any weed management on the beds that we did put leaves on, right?
So much so that I will never, which I've not done this in a couple years, but this is like we can shake on it like official. I will never use straw as mulch again. Not any shame to anyone that does. I've got some of my best friends use straw as a mulching option. If that is what tickles your feathers, go for it. I cannot stand nothing more than spending hours picking wheat, right? Because it's going to sprout the grass seed that is in it. And that is still, yeah, it may not be weeds, but it is a different type of weed. And it is just as much a chore that I do not want to have to do. The leaves worked so well that is all we will be doing. And not only that, it does break down. It is adding back into your
That's right.
soil, and it's just so much better. That's something I've been getting asked a lot often and here lately is, what are you doing for mulching? That's what we're doing. We are just using leaves. I will always use leaves. It broke down fast. It, like that bed, the soil is so much better just having that on there over the winter. Zero weeds. So yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'll never use straw again.
You're tongue tied. It works so well. Just lost for words.
I'm always lost for words. This is how my brain works. I think, I guess, before I speak, and so when I try to get it out, like my brain's kind of 2 steps ahead of me. Does that make sense?
Well, same here. That's why I'm so slow. Let's go talk about piggies.
Let's go talk about piggies, and then Nathan's got to take Peyton to softball practice, and I've got to make pizza dough because we're having homemade pizza for dinner. You want to go out the back, babe? Oh, look at that hiney. Isn't that what you always say to me?
Oh yeah.
So the pigs are kind of mad at us right now. We put on our pig farmer hats, which I was no good at, and we moved pigs. So we separated the females from the male. You want to tell them why we did that?
Yeah, and we should have filmed that because that was funny.
Listen, my dad was helping us. My dad grew up like raising hogs, showing hogs. And he's like, Jill, you just gotta stop them. You just gotta hop in front of them and stop them. I'm like, listen, when a pig starts coming to me, I'm getting the heck out of Dodge. So she turned around. It was one in particular that like was really kind of spotty. And she turned around and looked at me, and she could tell I was scared and didn't know what I was doing. And she started coming at me, and I'm like, I'm out. I can't. That was not meant to be a pig farmer.
It was funny. So we are taking the male, which is the largest one. We are taking the male to butcher this week. And so we separated, we had 3 females and 1 male. And so we put the females in a separate pen just so when I get ready to catch this guy, I didn't want, you know, I'm hoping to be able to lure him on the trailer with food, and I didn't want to have, you know, all of them trying to go in the trailer. So
Yeah.
that was my way of separating him to get him loaded this week.
But I don't know if you guys can see, they're over here. So we moved the mamas up. They've got a ton of grass to eat. Nathan's just been really working on that and has really built some good,
They've got radishes
Yeah.
and turnips and ryegrass to eat.
yeah, but they miss each other, and that's kind of sad. So they're like all butted up on the fence so that they can still be buddies. Nathan is going to be planting this over here.
Yeah, when Big Boy's gone out of this paddock, as you can see, there's nothing green. I mean, there's some brush that's got leaves coming out, but there's zero grass. And
Yeah.
so once he's gone, I'm really going to focus on this area, try to get as many of these rocks up, just kind of drag the ground and really seed this heavily. We bought some a native grass blend, and it's a blend of different native grasses with warm season and cool season. So the idea is to be able to, you know, raise the animals on this pasture, you know, year round, and not feed as little amount of hay as possible.
Yeah.
Because we do want some different animals in the future. So
Yeah,
is that good?
I think you did great.
But yeah, this is going to be my next focus over here.
Yeah.
Is this.
It's kind of been nice too though, because while the pigs have been in here, knowing that we were going to separate them, he's been able to heavily seed the other paddocks, and so when we rotated them, they had so much grass. I mean, the little pigs just forage during the day, and then they kind of come down here, that way they're close to the male at night.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that feels good. Like, pigs were one of the first animals Nathan wanted to get when we bought this property, and so it feels really good to know that we are supplying our own meat source in a large way. And that was something we spent a lot of money on, was buying meat from other organic farmers. Like, the largest chunk of money we spent was on meat, and knowing that we are continuously working on that to be able to lower that cost and raise out our own meat, it feels really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? Is the whole idea of being self-sustainable, you know, is figuring out a way to grow things, whether that be animals or plants, you know, that you eat, that you don't have to buy.
Yeah.
And we were spending a fortune on pork.
Look at us doing the whole homesteady thing.
That's right.
It's so funny. If people ask me if I'm a homesteader, I say no. And I don't really know what classifies you as a homesteader. I'm like, been trying to define that. And I don't know, I guess because my mind, I was like, oh, well, we farm. And then, you know, like, for me, I think of farming as like trying to run a profit, and I think a lot of homesteads are just doing it from a sustainability aspect. And for, you know, the farm we lived on before, I mean, I would grow our own vegetables, but aside from like a few rabbits that we would butcher, we really weren't self-sustaining in a lot of other areas. And so here, with, you know, the space to be able to expand, raise different animals, extend our chicken flock, I feel like, are we homesteaders now or what?
Well, so Mama's the farmer, and
You're the homesteader.
I will be the homesteader.
Yeah, I like that.
Because I want to be as self-reliant, self-sustainable as possible. So.
Yeah, I like that. That's what we should say. I'm the farmer, you're the homesteader.
There you go.
Deal. You sure are a cute homesteader.
Yeah, hot farmer and cute homesteader.
All right, you guys. Well, I got a lot of chores to do. Nathan's about to leave, but thank you guys for hanging out with us. It's kind of, we just gave you guys an update of what was going on the farm, kind of where we're putting some emphasis over the next couple weeks as we're gearing, you know, really into just spring production. So it feels really good. We're happy to have you guys along for the journey. But thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll talk to you soon.